Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. Totally fumbled Ilsa's death. How does a long-running action franchise keep raising the stakes? If one follows the Mission: Impossible rulebook, it's about stunt work. Previously, Tom Cruise climbed up the world's tallest skyscraper and clung to the side of a plane taking flight. In Mission: Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, he speeds off a cliff with a parachute. The movies don't usually check off the other box to keep the tension going, killing off a beloved, major character. And when it comes to an action series, there may be nothing worse than a lackluster farewell when this scenario plays out. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Ilsa Faust. What makes it baffling isn't so much the character's death, but the narrative choices leading up to it and what happens after. Here lies Agent Ilsa Faust, whose death is utterly unsatisfying. Ilsa was free at last of her MI6 obligations. The British intelligence agency had their hooks in her throughout Rogue Nation and Fallout, blackmailing her into remaining their operative or else she would be permanently disavowed. This would turn her deep undercover work with a terrorist organization into her exclusive identity, thus making her a global enemy. Not good. By the end of Fallout, Ethan saves the day, which gives him powerful allies. This gets Ilsa out of MI6's grip, and the last scene sees Ethan and Ilsa smiling together. Of course, in a franchise where the next danger looms ahead, this happiness is short-lived. Yes, Ilsa is free. And yet, she returns in Dead Reckoning Part 1, proving she is even more like Ethan. They cannot escape protecting the world. If something doesn't pull them back in, they do it themselves. The reintroduction to Ilsa finds her hiding out in the Abu Dhabi desert, a massive bounty on her head after she nabbed half of the intricate, dangerous, and very cool cruciform key. Ethan hurries to help, with a swarm of assassins close behind. She blasts a good amount away with a powerful sniper rifle, clearing out a path for Ethan. Dust storms seem to love Ethan, swallowing him up in Ghost Protocol and billowing into him here. The first weird story choice involving Ilsa happens here. When Ethan gets to her, he finds her sprawled out on the ground. That this death is a fake-out isn't surprising. It happened off-screen and way too quickly. However, the character's actual death scene wasn't an improvement. Ethan's demand that she stay dead doesn't work out. Ilsa is as hard-headed as he is, after all. Something feels off when she re-enters the story for what ends up as another limited appearance. Sure, Ilsa has always been a woman of little words, but she also has had entire scenes where she is as important as everyone around her. In Rogue Nation or Fallout, Ilsa Faust never feels lost among scene partners in Ethan or an ex-syndicate leader. She goes toe-to-toe with those men. With this in mind, there is a very different Ilsa in Dead Reckoning, where she is only in two sequences, the desert shootout and the Venice meeting. Previous Mission: Impossible movies didn't have trouble building or sustaining the relationship between Ethan and Ilsa. It did stop short of them starting a romantic relationship, with a kiss getting cut out of Fallout. Director Christopher McQuarrie added his own thoughts on why a romance wouldn't work, telling Empire, "I was never really interested in creating a typical love interest for Ethan. Once that relationship consummates, that relationship is over. The simple fact of the matter is you're not making Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're making Mission: Impossible." And so the challenge comes in creating a relationship that is always evolving and never quite reaching what is a somewhat mundane resolution. While Ilsa is anything but typical, she absolutely is a love interest. This leads into the next weird narrative choice in Dead Reckoning, when Faust is confined as a doomed woman in Ethan's life, where past installments saw to it that she had her own mission to complete. In movies, Venice is a place of passion and danger, a location where Donald Sutherland's character loses himself to grief and false hope in Don't Look Now. Grief and false hope settle into the IMF stay in Venice as well. Ilsa tells Ethan about this being her first time in the Italian city, and it will be her last, but she does ride through the canals with Ethan. At the club meeting, Gabriel delivers an ultimatum on behalf of the Big Bad, the entity. Ethan must choose which two women he can keep alive, Ilsa or Grace.